Well, folks, it's a little bit past 8 p.m. Saturday, January the 3rd, I think it is. Let me see. 3rd or 4th? Yeah, the 3rd. And we had real warm weather today. Got into the 60s. I found myself running the air conditioner in this room. You know, the room doesn't ordinarily drift very comfortably, you know, without something running, either cooling it or heating it. But anyway, I turned on the air conditioner part of the day. Now nothing's running, I guess. I guess it could start. It's set to cool. I'll tell you something that's uncool. For me, I deliberately don't make any effort to seek out any information about the various campaigns for the White House. It all seems so cynical in a way, in an overall way, but then there are episodes of apparently good faith every now and then, but not enough to make a difference. You know, most of it seems to me, is people who have learned what to say to try to maintain some interest in one faction or another, and people switch around, you know, appealing to one faction or another, maneuvering and maneuvering and maneuvering, like watching something like a hockey game or something, you know, just when they're not actually connecting with the puck, then they're circling around and positioning and getting ready to, you know, and so I just it's a matter of dumbing down, well, people they go out of the way to be symmetrical here, at least between the two major contestants. A third party, you know, I've already said I'd vote for Robert if I were to vote at all, but in Alabama my vote doesn't count, never has. I've never voted anywhere else, even when I was you know, actually living somewhere else. I never changed my registration, you know. But anyway, I haven't voted very much, that's for sure. I quit altogether some time ago, and for good reason, and not happy about it particularly, you know. But all right, let's take you know, I really know less about Biden's campaign than about his administration. But in terms of his campaign, I can remember he campaigned once about, you know, doing whatever it takes about this or that, or being in one thing or another for the long haul, or for however long it takes, stuff like that. And that kind of doesn't appeal to me. Open-ended commitments to one thing or another, no matter what, you know. And then on the other hand, I think that for whatever reason, people running or participating in the Trump campaign have been more successful in cutting through the noise to say this or that to be Trump's position. People speak for him with some boldness or the illusion of clarity. And I won't tell you, you know, what I think about the Biden administration too much. I think it's plain to see I don't see any reason to talk about the administration, and I really just don't know much about his campaign at all. I think that to an extent it's been simply say, look at my record. That's what I hear him saying. Not explicitly that, but I mean, apparently he's saying for people to look at his record. Okay, well, all right. But then, meanwhile, in a terrible struggle, epic struggle, that Trump has gotten himself into. You know, nobody else really engineered the difficulties he is in, where a lot of people are doing a lot of things to explain away his candidacy or to explain away his opposition. But I have heard him not too long. I heard him for I guess maybe the 10th or 11th time saying that the president must have total immunity. The president must have total immunity. Well, that statement I think is cynical. I don't think he means it. And I think that's, you know, I don't like campaigners who will do something and then expect me to put up with something. That's like, you know, kicking me in the face and then saying, well, you know, I had to do that to be elected. Now, do you want to support me? Well, I'm afraid I'd just have to say, no, I don't think I'll support you. No one's supposed to really care that he's willing to say to people, a president has to have total immunity. He acts like, for example, he can make the advocacy for irresponsibility. He can call for irresponsibility in a way that is itself irresponsible, and then expect, I guess, everybody to go along with that later. Well, recently, you know, people have decided with total irresponsibility or what to defame me and think of it as petty and really inconsequential because of well, the importance of one thing or another beside whatever it is you know, I'm told to do, or that I can't do, or this or that. I mean, with an attitude that is so cavalier that it's just breathtaking. People might say, well, now, obviously, Trump is not really telling you the truth. He doesn't really believe that a president should be like, you know, Louis the 14th or Catherine the Great. But that's what he said. And I know some people who don't have complete control of the universe, but they have complete control of one thing or another, and have used that complete control in a way that I find to be extremely obnoxious. And if I could afford to sue somebody who in the process of running his business did what he shouldn't do, then I probably would. You know, if I had a law firm, I'd find a couple of three, you know, young geniuses. Just go ahead and take care of that. But I can't, and of course, the irresponsible people know that they can get away with whatever the hell. And they encourage others to. They have been encouraged to do that, and so they have. And then they have encouraged others, and that's what's happening often. And now we have at least one candidate saying, irresponsibly saying, the president should be immune from any kind of consequence that he doesn't like. Saying that in an irresponsible way, and then what? He would somehow have a mandate to be given that kind of freedom, really, or what? I've always been convinced that to the extent possible, a person should be able to run his business the way he sees fit, but there are limits to that. Theft, murder, slander, libel, plagiarism, all kinds of things are illegal. Even if you are a CEO or just what, so low down on the totem pole that somebody can say, well, you can do whatever you want. You're not important enough for anybody to give a damn, which is true. A lot of people have that freedom in a way, and some of them like that better than being in the crucible of some sort, the situation room of a tremendous company where decisions really matter. But that's the story about the White House, that it's where there's a crucible of sorts, and I don't know, I can't remember offhand hearing any president or candidate say the president must have immunity, and thus he can make or break any number of activities that he might find interesting or not. And so I will not be made whole in a situation like that. If the president can do anything he wants to do with immunity or impunity or whatever, I don't think it would be any better than some tin-horn dictators who have every right to run a company as they see fit, but that doesn't mean to avail himself of whatever slander or libel or what professional opinion or any manner of cheating. And I think a president who wants complete immunity, the way Trump is talking about, is already telling people what he thinks of the electorate. That he can say that on one day, and then on the next day say, well, I didn't really mean that. Or I'll make it up to you if I do something wrong while I'm actually immune. I'll turn myself in at the local precinct. I did something bad. Would you do double park, or you went through the checkout with more than the 15 items for the express lane, or what, murder, or what? That's the murder department is the CIA, isn't it? Overseas, theoretically, because when presidents have used the CIA in a domestic situation, they've said things like, well, it was liaison and not anything else. All along, presidents have tried to get away with anything, as the saying goes. And they have cadres to lobby and pressure and twist arms and evade the truth or change the subject or whatever. At least it might be said, well, Trump is saying what all of them seem to crave, and that is immunity. But I don't really think, a decent man like President Ford, for example, I don't think that while he was president for a while, that he really thought, gee, I wish I could do anything with impunity. And even after he lost the election, when he pardoned Lincoln, not Lincoln, when he pardoned Nixon, he said, well, I think I did the right thing. I do too. It's not exactly entirely, only as a favor to Nixon, but as many people understand, to put the nation through even more stuff having to do with the Watergate would have been awful. But right now, I don't know. People still, I'm convinced that people are serious. They want to nominate Trump. They have feelings about the wishy-washy stuff, the stuff that I attribute to the local people here who have made me extremely unhappy, and can, within their own domain or whatever, they do as they please. They steal from me. They continue to lie about me. Of course, people do that everywhere. But it's so brazen, so obvious that it's like, we're not going to be, terribly complicated about this so that some people don't even know what's going on. Hell, we'll kick down the door and steal your damn camera. And what are you going to do about it? Well, I'm not going to do anything about it except that I replaced the camera that they sold. The JVC was mine, not theirs. I thought about that, and I think that they really have, I would say, incriminated themselves at several levels. Does Trump really want that same kind of immunity that is exercised around here, or is he talking about the problem that anybody would have anywhere with a brand of anarchy that nobody has advocated with any insight at all? Most of the time I hear people who really don't understand anarchy very well, and frankly I don't worry about anarchists who are who have thought through what they're talking about, because for every anarchist who's very thoughtful and philosophical, there are plenty of people who disagree. And since nobody who's thought through everything that matters in terms of quality living has been able to prevent what has happened in America, then I'm not too concerned. But to have Trump say that he really wants immunity, total immunity, is really, that he speaks for people like Cleveland entirely. Is his popularity tied to so many little petty tyrants, thieves and thugs and whatever? No, I don't think that's true. I think people could think through all of that, but at least they know that probably he's not expecting to be held to account for that sake, that he wants complete immunity, that a president should have complete immunity. Well, I feel as though, as a voter or something, I don't want to tune in to somebody who is so clever and so clever that he can say that and bank on the idea that I see through that as only a political stunt. That he's on some sort of circus performance, and he's on the high wire or the high trapeze and doing all kinds of stunts. In fact, I don't hear anybody saying, listen to what Trump said. He says he wants to have a complete immunity when he's elected president. And people say now that he very well might be elected. I don't know. I think there's a lot of strong feeling. People feel very strongly about all that. But is everybody so sophisticated that he can say that a president deserves complete immunity, and everybody understands what he's really saying is that's the problem and I can fix it? Well, I mean, what I'm saying is people can pivot in any direction at all then. Why not say that he's in favor more and more abortions in every city or town? That instead of birth control or anything like that, women should just use abortion as birth control. and that anybody who doesn't believe in that ought to be hauled before some secular authority to answer for that opinion. If he said that, would people just say, well, he's on a campaign, and he's really, his antics are terrific? Well, I just don't know. It bothers me. So I just think it's so vulgar. And then some people would say, well, what do you want? Somebody to campaign like Calvin Coolidge did or something? Or people around the turn of the century campaign like Teddy Roosevelt or something? And when you think about what all of them said, say from 1900 to maybe after the League of Nations vote failed, just that whole section of when Wilson would throw anybody in jail if he objected to the First World War. There goes your free speech. That's about like the COVID thing. If you say COVID's no good, well, wham, you're in deep trouble. We've always had stuff like that. And people said, remember the Maine. Well, we're going to have a war no matter what. The first time we have an excuse, we're going to have a war. And so they say the coal dust somehow blew up, but nobody really knows. But people were shouting, remember the Maine, and they decided to take over as much as that war allowed. With Spain, which was Spain was a very feeble power by that time. Historians could easily rattle off any number of things that put Trump's pronouncement about immunity into perspective. But I just don't care for it, And I recognize that, we live in a time when campaigns are not going to be like, the smoking room at some club on Pall Mall or Pall Mall. What it bothers me, so I try to stay away from it. But in just the last, 10 days, I've heard more people repeat that that's what Trump has said. Maybe they figure, well, now, as he is fighting for his political life or whatever, that's the impression that people have, Maybe they figure, well, no wonder he says that. He doesn't really mean it. He's just so beleaguered right now. I don't care. However you slice it, And then what? Joe Biden says, well, go the distance with Ukraine, and then Trump says it'd be over in a day, the day after I'm elected. Well, there's only one way he would do that, and that would be to pull out and let whatever might happen next would be for others to decide. So, it's stuff like that, I don't know what in the world we have to gain from having a president who says, oh, here's an opportunity to get involved and go the distance forever, and then a candidate who says, oh, well, I'll pull out during the first 24 hours I'm in office. Well, both of them, I'm not going to vote for either one of them. I've already said that I'm not going to vote at all, and for some good reasons and some very bad reasons that count just as much. Namely, the preemption of thugs who control what's left of my life. My existence, I should say. Instead, though, I can say I would vote for a third party this time. I have not done that in the past. I have not advocated for a third party in the past. This is the first time when I've felt that might make sense. And I see what's happening to him. The character assassination is self-evident, although by the same token, I'm glad to see that people understand that accountability is what he's all about. You can look at the background of all the people running for office, and his, I think, offers more in terms of what I think a lot of people want than people trying to cut deals. I think Republicans and Democrats both have cut deals until there's just nothing left. But would I put a question? Would I try to be really sharp and press the issue with Trump on the matter of the idea of impunity or being immune from what? Maybe he would start fudging. He said, "Well, immune for this or that, but not for thus and so." Like for example, if he could drive a car, which is illegal for a president. A president is not supposed to drive a car ever, nor can he fly in a V-22. Things like that. But I mean, when you think about how foreign policy resulted in the Vietnam War and all the, maybe in another generation or two we'll get down to the brass tacks about all that, see just how illegal people can be. But it's one thing, every recruit, and particularly every Lieutenant Fuzz, every lieutenant is told, you do not and you should not obey an unlawful order. Yeah, right. That's great, isn't it? There are a lot of things, a lot of cultural things about, the practicalities of real life. For example, young couples starting out, they want a family, they want a farm, or they want what? I don't know. This and that. The American dream, There are those, though, who object to the blood test, or much else. And there are those who think that's mighty fine to find out what you need to know before you tie the knot. A lot of crap goes on in terms of hypocrisy and cluelessness and so on. It's the same with people running for office, But I find it offensive, to hear stuff that doesn't matter. For example, what if I got argumentative about this and told a big audience or something instead of just a few people that I remember when I didn't particularly pay attention to Trump when he was getting started, but I heard one thing that struck me as strange, really strange, when he said one day, early in his first campaign, that he would do something about NATO, yada yada, just enough. I thought, my gosh, almost fell off my stool or something, because that, was unheard of to hear a candidate say something like that. And he said it more than once, like he really meant it. And then, of course, as soon as he was in office, he never said anything like that again. Never had. So it was, maybe to say that he wants immunity for the president. Would we never hear another word about that? So much so that he wouldn't even allow someone to put that question to him in a news conference, or what? Or would he say, "Well, that was then, this is now"? Or what would he say? Never mind. What's going to happen with Biden? Is somebody going to say soon? Somebody really ask him, "What do you mean we'll go the distance, or as long as possible, or as long as it takes, or this or that?" Polar opposites there, and no accountability. Well, people talk about accountability. Well, what's the difference between accountability and immunity then? Well, all of that's up for grabs. You know, there are people who go to law school for some reason, so that they can be, shall we say, persuasive and at the same time invoke stuff that would suggest they're not offering some sort of personal opinion. They're only looking at what is established in law. You know what that sounds like? The thug who came in here to take my belongings in the name of, I'm not able to think for myself. I'm not only a genius, but also I'm following the letter of the law, the rules, and this and that. And never mind. I don't care I don't want to hear these Philadelphia lawyers or anybody else explain that, well, now you see here, it's like watching, what's his name on Amos and Andy? What's his name? The one that acted like a lawyer. And for that matter, Kingfish himself talking to Andy, trying to carry on about like one of these TV evangelists, laying down sacred law. And what about the clubhouses that are not evangelical? They come in several varieties. As if what? More modest? Well, I don't know. I guess the thing to say is that this has been about, Trump. And only in the sense that I would put Trump in the context of all that I've said and just say, why bother to tell me that you want the president to be above the law? Why bother to do that? Is that just a jobs program to put a lot of flunkies into overdrive to run their mouths to explain what is meant by what was said and yada, yada, yada? That will be about like turning people loose. The junior officers in some war room or anywhere on some military post. Just flip a switch and let them debate the rest of the night and howl at the moon trying to explain in advance what a lawful order is or isn't and what somebody should do. I can remember all that from Vietnam, and it was not fun, and in a de facto way, being kneecapped then and since is something people don't want to talk about because that was then and this is now or whatever like that. That was a long time ago, some people think. Well, that's fair enough then. I guess I've talked for over 33 minutes. Time to say goodbye, folks. Fare thee well, and happy trails to you until we meet again. The people I meet again are the ones who want to tell me goodbye over and over. Has that happened to you folks? That some people who ought to say goodbye or say nothing and get lost are the very ones who come back over and over to say goodbye again. That's like, you're at the punch bowl and they keep coming back to say goodbye and fill their cup again before they leave. That's a tenuous thing to try to describe, but anyway, you know what I mean. So it's past 34 minutes now, and I see what I've done. I've filibustered way too long. Bye.